When I think about what my drive is, honestly, is I want to grow a business. I want to be the best. It's so competitive here now that you have to be forced to grow. If you don't grow in real estate, there are other people that will be up your ass. So you have to push forward. I have an idea for what I think a successful real estate model should be. I think if you're earning between 18 and 30% net profit, that's a really good business. The best thing I tell anybody about this business is we have no debt, no liability, no shareholders outside of me and Carl. And yeah, there's no leverage on anybody. And I think knowing that we've started a business from zero and built the profit of my personal life and grew a business at the same time, it shows that it's a successful model. The worst thing in business, you know this, figuring out an office is the cash flow killer. It's the cash flow killer, isn't it? I mean, it's the worst thing ever.
Today I'm welcoming back to the show a good friend of mine and one of the very first guests on the podcast, Lewis Allsopp, the Chairman of Allsopp Allsopp. Today he's going to be telling us all about his story, the journey to success that he's created, the challenges he faced along the way, the absolute royal ups that happened as well, and the reason why if you persevere, you're disciplined and you're committed and you never give up, you can go on to create something magical. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of the podcast. Today's guest, someone who runs and has built the largest real estate brokerage here in the UAE. Now that's no mean feat. It's a large company with hundreds of agents, and it all started in the midst of the 2008 recession. And today he's going to be telling us all about his story, the journey to success that he's created, the challenges he faced along the way, the absolute royal ups that happened as well, and the reason why if you persevere, you're disciplined and you're committed and you never give up, you can go on to create something magical. So please welcome onto the show my old friend and one of the earliest guests on the show, Lewis Allsopp. All right, folks, let me tell you about IOPN, the Internet of People. IOPN is the next iteration of the Internet, using revolutionary blockchain technology that's built on decentralized community ownership. Now, when I say decentralized community ownership, I mean it's not only controlled by a bunch of tech giants. Instead, everyone who's part of it has a say and a stake in how things run. It gives regular people like me and you and businesses and brands an easy and fair chance to grow and make some money and build communities. IOPN is making things happen through a few key verticals. Now let's go through them. OPN Chain is a cutting-edge layer 1 blockchain that's efficient, scalable, and eco-friendly. iCognitive, a set of AI tools changing how we develop apps. Yeah, develop apps. OPNverse, a dynamic, hyper-realistic, AI-powered platform that's making Web3 experiences better. Big organizations like Dubai Multi-Commodities Center, Dubai World Trade Center, and Ras Al Khaimah government are already seeing the potential with IOPN themselves. It's about creating a Web3 future where technology serves us, us, the people, unlike what Web 2 did, where we often end up serving big tech companies. Check out the Internet of People today and see how you can leverage their ecosystem. I promise you, it's worth the time. Lewis, thanks for coming to join us on the show today.
Thank you for having me again.
Almost 20 years of friendship.
20 years of friendship, and I think maybe our 5th podcast.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we did some, didn't we? Look, today the reason I wanted to get you on the show is that there's an element of my journey and your journey that's overlapped. And often people ask me about the journey, and they want to try and understand how you get to certain places. And I think that you being the number 1 real estate broker in the UAE, I mean, with the biggest company, I know this is why you laugh at that, it sounds a bit mad, but you are. Yeah. There's a journey that you took to get there. Yeah. And I'm not entirely sure everyone understands the journey, because it all looks very glamorous now.
Yes,
and you've got these offices, you've got these lovely cars, you've got the yachts, you've got the Palm apartment.
Sounds good.
It does sound amazing. And I remember many years ago that there were people that were looking at me in my early years of being in Dubai, and it was like, he seems to have everything.
It's easy. I think when I first met you, I remember when we were playing football together and you pulled up with your driver and you were the main man, and people, oh my God, Spencer Lodge here. I looked at you and I was like, wow, this guy. But you don't see how you got to that. And I think I'm going through that same process, a lot of people maybe who join me, they're 23 years old today and they start Allsopp and Allsopp. They were 7 when I set the business up. So they have no real right or understanding to maybe need to know or want to know about Lewis Allsopp's journey.
I think a lot of people think the curve isn't a curve. I think they think it starts here on day one of starting the business and this straight line goes up at an angle. And because they think like that, they see this steady progression of more and more wealth. But actually, that's not what happens. And hopefully your journey is quite similar. It's like it's a hockey stick. It's not a curve.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a long way down here, kicking like hell and trying your best. And then all of a sudden, something starts to come together and it grows. So when we go back to that 2008, when you set that business up, there were, as far as I know, there were 3 people involved. Obviously, your brother and your dad are involved.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the naysayers and the people that want to write bad things or say bad things about you will say, well, his dad gave him all the money. Yeah. I've heard that many times, okay, which I reassure them. I'm sure he lent into his dad for a small loan, but I'm sure his dad was there to support with love and anything else. So can we just get the facts out on the table?
Get the facts on the table.
Okay. Day one, okay, you've had this idea, you're going to start a business, you work at another brokerage, you've had some great experiences with people like Wendy Stapleton. It's a beautiful story that you tell. The journey through working at Sherwood's and then Smith & Ken, which was an interesting story as well with Benji, which a lot of people still know, and Pete Zumsky and Ross and all those kind of characters.
Oh, yes.
And you were like this bunch that were out there living the life,
wildly
working, and then every weekend... Because I saw you, Barasti was our home, for many
It was real estate in the week and the wild at the weekend. That's basically what it was.
But with no money,
no money.
Making ends meet, scrounging to get a pint together and stuff like that.
I think that the first thing about Allsopp and Allsopp, it was self-funded by me. I'm the only funder in that business.
Okay, let's make that clear. So nobody ever gave any money to that business at all? No, dad, brother, no.
Every penny I put into that business.
And how much did you invest?
780,000 dirhams.
And where did that money come from?
Making money in real estate. My last transaction I flipped a Palm Jebel Ali villa. I sold it in 24 hours to a well-known lady on the Palm. And that doubled my money on that day, 10% on 10% down, very nice return. Every bit of money that I made, I put it into that. We took an office, but even when we took the office was 5 bedrooms. One of them was full. The other 4 were not furnished because I didn't have the money. So every bit of capital we've had, the best thing I tell anybody about this business is we have no debt, no liability, no shareholders outside of me and Carl. There's no leverage on anybody. And I think knowing that we started a business from zero and built the profit of my personal life and grew a business at the same time, it shows that it's a successful model.
And are you almost a 50-50 split with Carl, or is it something close?
Yeah, so it's similar. I mean, look, basically, we both have to agree on what happens. We're chalk and cheese, So, but I think when the first 3 years of starting the business, with me being a bit like you, we are, erratic, pull the trigger quick, which is probably our strength. Carl doesn't work that way. Carl is logistical and methodical. And for the first 3 years, we used to, it hurt us arguing with each other. My strength is if you don't let me be erratic, then I'm not a strong character to have around a table. So he now knows, he of course lets me fly. I do what I need to do. I shoot from the hip, I use my gut, and it works a lot of the time. Where Carl, he makes sure everything behind the scenes is very much in line.
Do you have conflict because he sees you doing stuff that he's terrified of you doing and mistakes he fears you might make?
No, I mean, maybe...
Take me along the journey here rather than now. Let's back then.
So basically, let's say if we set up, we have no money at all. We're talking, at one point, I remember checking the salaries we owed was 150,000. And I think I had in the bank 120,000. And the people that we know, that Sam Libowich and these people they were friends of mine, Curtis and Jamie, they're from Coventry. And we had no money. And I was like, oh my God, I need to pay these salaries. But whilst we were doing that, I remember I executed more marketing. I said, cool, I want to spend another 100,000 dirhams a month on marketing. And I remember Carl like, you can't do that. We don't have the money. And I was like, we'll have the money. But doing these things and pushing the boundaries is the difference in personalities and different ways of working. But together it just works. But there's been so many occasions where I pulled the trigger. I always say in COVID, when lockdown happened, I remember getting on the phone with Michael Liani, and we had a group.
Michael Liani is the guy in charge of Property Finder.
The main guy at Property Finder. And we had a group call to discuss how we're going to sort our payments out. I come off the call and I said, Michael called me, we spoke one-on-one, and I said to him, I want to double my marketing spend. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah, but let's agree for what that looks like. But this is what I want to do. And he was like, why? I was like, because it will end. And when it ends, I'm going to execute what I need to do. And it was the best thing we ever done. And I've done that a few times across running the business.
So that's fascinating to know you're like that. Danielle and I have a relationship like that. She's very logistics, details, organized, operational, very clear understanding. She's a great salesperson too. Was Carl a great salesperson?
Yeah, he was. He was actually very good, very different. I'm very good with people. Carl is, if you see me and Carl discuss our portfolio, so me and Carl being brothers sitting next to each other, we look at our portfolios and we say, how are the yields returning? What's going on? He'll go to me, have a look at this and show me a spreadsheet. And he's incredible. He's got the algorithm for the yields based on the price. He'll go, what's yours? I'm like, I think it's that. And he'll just be some addresses on there, basically what they're renting for.
And you got a big calculator on your desk.
And a title deed from 5 years ago. And basically that's how it works. Carl is so switched on with that end of the business. So we're just very different.
So the first 3 years, let's take that. So it's 2008 to 2011.
Yeah.
How did that go?
Probably the most stressful moments in my life. And I think this is the moment where you grow up. Bearing in mind, you leave England anyway, and you've never washed your clothes before, and you've never tidied your bed before. You've never done all these things. Also, you're doing that. Fast forward another year and a half, and I'm the guy at 7 a.m. that's opening the door for everybody at 7 a.m. I'm the guy that's hoovering up at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Everything falls back on you at that point. And I think the first 3 years, I was the accountant. But I'm the worst person to have as an accountant, but you're writing paychecks and then you are managing cash flow. I've never managed cash flow in my life. People are sending me personally as an Allsopp and Allsopp that I'm running the account for millions of pounds for me to look after their properties. Because let's say an international buyer today called and said, Lewis, in 2008, I want to buy a Palm Villa. I'm going to say 10% deposit. They send it in. I'm in charge of that. And I have no accountancy background. So running that business, I suddenly became very aware that everything falls back on me and everything that goes right is my fault and everything that doesn't go right is my fault. And 2008, and I say to anybody that run a business, I didn't make any money. 2008, 2009, 2010. The job was survival. The job was trying to grow, because when you're trying to grow, obviously your costs increase. You know, you've got to hire an accountant. I remember my dad saying to me, he's like, Lewis, I know you don't want to spend that $5,000 a month because you're worried about your break even. He was like, but you need an accountant. I was like, I don't really want to spend it. And then you do that, and then you're thinking, oh my God, I've got to make 10,000 because you've got to pay 50% of the 10 to someone else. You're like, oh my God. So when you're growing this business, there is so many variants to it. But the first 3 years, I didn't make it. Interestingly, where I've made most of my money is probably the last 5 years. And that's 17 years. It's 12 years of running the business. We've reinvested, we've done what we've done. But I've managed to use my own money from that I've made from the company and turn that into excessive profit over that period. But yeah, it's been interesting.
When you 3 years in, what approximately was your annual turnover? What kind of?
First year we made 6 million dirham commission.
That's total turnover.
Turnover, which is what's that one at the time? I think it's £1 million, isn't it? Around 2000. So it doesn't 1.2, and that was turnover. Our net profit, and again, I wasn't even running P&Ls. I was doing the P&L.
Yeah,
it would be minimal, like single digits, and then. Year 2, we went to 11 million dirhams, and year 3 went to 22 million dirhams.
But you still weren't making money.
Still weren't making money.
So you're turning over a lot more, spending a lot more.
Correct.
Okay, trying to build something. And then when you think about starting the beginning of the journey, at the end of year 1, how many agents did you have?
I think end of year 1, we would have had about 10 agents. I mean, it's different. You think about Dubai back then, like Dubai is now this world-renowned place that everyone wants to live. In 2008, like it really wasn't. Everybody knew the developers were collapsing and the banks were collapsing and things weren't getting built and cancelled. And I said this to everybody, if you think you've got a hard job, try and sell property to people when the property market's collapsed. You go, hi, do you want to buy a house? And they're like, the market's collapsing, mate. I'm like, yes, but would you like to buy one? It's one of the hardest jobs. And how we ended up surviving is we were selling credit notes. So credit notes are what the developers had, where basically they would cancel a project, not give the money back, and they'd say to Spencer, look, you've got 100,000 dirhams. We're not giving you a refund because we don't have the cash, but you can put that in something else. And what we were doing is getting that, charging a fee of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%, going to somebody that had a next payment and saying, would you like to buy this at a discount? And they'd buy the 10% at 100,000 at a discount. we'd charge a fee, and that kept us alive for about 18 months.
Wow. So then let's go forward. So you're 17 years now. So let's go to a point. When did the market get to a point, or when did your business get to a point where you thought to yourself, hold on a minute, this is now financially a really sensible decision?
I think maybe we moved to Golden Diamond Park. I think that was year 3 or 4. So we took a 4,000 square foot office in Golden Diamond Park. And I remember we fitted out. And the worst thing in business, you know this, fitting out an office is the cash flow killer. It's the cash flow killer, isn't it? I mean, it's the worst thing ever. Like, just kills your cash flow. And we built this office, and I remember sitting around in the Golden Diamond Park, prestigious EMA, and I started to have really good agents around me, and I started to see the revenue increase. And what you can do after 3 to 4 years is you can start to forecast. Because I know now, because I'm so long in the tooth about it and so experienced, I can pretty much take the average agent per head, per revenue, per lettings, per sales. And I started to build that out in my head in the 4th year, going, wow, okay, well, these are the numbers we did, 6, 12, 18, 22. If we get 10 more agents, it looks like this. But it wasn't as easy as that. There's so many problems along the way. We've been poached. Some of our best staff, some of our best agents have set up real estate companies. I remember, and I said this to everybody, one of the really good companies to buy House and House. And I remember the top 3 lads there, Simon Baker, Luke and James, they were all our top billers. And they come to us when we thought you're on fire and we thought and they went, we're setting up. You're like, oh my God, top 3 agents leave. And then a couple of their friends go to it, and all of a sudden you're really on the back foot again. You're trying to build it. And I've had so many of their moments, but the differences between someone that succeeds and fails is that I'm horribly stubborn, horribly. And it's the reason I've probably never left Dubai, is in like, I'd go broke and I'd be like, I'm not going back to everyone I've gone broke. I'll find a way to make it work. And I think going through them periods, if you go from 2008 to 2017, we've had the world crash, we had COVID, we had 2014, the market literally plummeted because they doubled the transfer fees and decreased the loan to value. And we've been through so many different markets now that I just sort of know how to handle it.
What do you think your greatest skill is? Do you think you're just a great salesman, which means that you can sell snow to the Eskimos, the sand to the Arabs, and you can sell opportunities to people? Or do you think it's because actually you're a great natural leader? Or do you think because you've evolved into this clearly very successful CEO? What is it that you think is your kind of like your secret weapon?
Look, you've known me 20 years. What do you think?
The relationship that you and I have with each other, and in fairness, if I'm really honest, it probably started with Benji.
Yeah.
Because Benji worked for me.
Correct.
And so Benji was set up at Smith & Kent, and I could see a lot of me in Benji. So when and I used to have the same feeling as you. When people leave, I'd be like, oh, you bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when he left and he went to do that, I supported him. I wanted him to do well, whichever it was. So when I saw you when you were younger, before you'd set up, you to me were like one of these, you, Pete Zumsky, Ross, and for everybody listening and watching this podcast now, this is a group of people that we knew and spent time socially with 20 odd years ago, played football with and all that kind of stuff. But then when you and Carl set up, and you started to make progress, all I then lent into was the stories about you in business that other people told me.
Yeah.
So whether it be Wendy, whether it be Ben, whether it be Ross, it would tell me, and other people too. And I believe you at your core are an out and out salesperson.
Okay.
And I believe at your core, simplicity is what enables you to be as good as you are.
Yeah.
Because you don't overcomplicate things. And I think that although that might work against you sometimes, the majority of the time it works for you. What do you think?
So I've had a few people ask me this, and basically I don't think I'm a good manager. I'm not a good manager. There are very good managers out there. I lead. And I think I lead by getting simplicity and people understanding of what I can and can't do. And I suppose creating a picture for people about where and how they can go. But if you're asking me to sit down and go through people's viewing follow-ups and their calls and things like that, I don't have the capability to do that because I haven't got a good attention span. And I know that my strength is sitting down with someone like yourself and convincing you about what I believe that may be. And I don't believe I'm a salesperson. I believe I have very, very, very high emotional intelligence. I believe I can sit around a table with anybody and I can tune into where some people have got that, they've got degrees, and you sit there and you're thinking, you're saying the wrong things to the wrong people. I know if someone wants me to shut up in 2 minutes, in a minute, because they're giving you nothing back. So I think I've learned emotional intelligence along the way, but my IQ isn't that good, but my EQ is.
But this is why I think our relationship's so interesting, because I don't believe I have a high level of IQ, yet people look at me and think I've got some kind of gift in some way. And Danielle says the greatest and the worst thing about you is that you don't know how good you are, and you don't know how you do what you do. You just do it instinctively, and so it's very hard for you to teach that instinct.
Massively. And that, I think when you're growing a business, I think letting go and not being the guy is also a problem, because my influence sort of disappears, and that's my strength when you run a business. So then have to change your approach on how you use your strengths, and then it's who you influence and how you influence. And having a 100-man business to a 600-man business is a completely different animal, which obviously like I can influence 100 people in a room today. They're my friends. I know them on day to day. How did you get on the weekend? But when you're at 600, there are staff in my company that I don't know the names of. And it's not because I don't want to. It's not disrespectful. You've just joined. There's 600 people. There's 34 people call them a month coming in. And then it's figuring out how you use your skill set as a CEO and chairman to benefit the company.
As a real estate broker at your core and a business that you've built, what percentage of your business is a recruitment company, and what percentage of your business is a real estate brokerage?
70% is recruitment, probably 80%. Anyone can sell a house, but for a business to be a good business and to grow and people to grow with them, you have to hire the right staff. And I've learned that along the way. Staff, again, it's probably a subject we can touch on. We actually had to pull the reins in our business about who we were hiring and what we're hiring, because if you hire the wrong people, the culture can dramatically change, especially when you're in a larger environment. So 100% recruitment is the core to everything.
So again, with Devere, same thing. I used to look at the model. I'm like, we're a recruitment company. Yeah, we're not a predominant financial services business. We're a recruitment business. We're trying to find the right people to come into this business to grow it. Okay. Now, when you take agents on, do you prefer to take a raw recruit in and teach them the industry, or do you prefer personally? Do you prefer to bring someone in that's got some experience? There's kind of established some ways and some methods already.
Monetary value, having some experience. We've hired 7 or 8 people from another company recently, and they come in and they're billing straight away and they're doing over target. And you're just like, it's nice having there. Like I walked past this girl the other day and she'd worked for us before, and she'd come back to work for us, and she's sitting there zooming in on the Meadows map and she's working out the location. I'm like, wow, that takes 5 years to get someone to that level to be able to do that. So I do think having a mix of that, but then raw talent. Like I knew what I was. I knew when I was in sales, I was raw. I was young, I was hungry, and I was relentless. And if you could find them people, and I think that's such a hard thing today. I think the world has changed so much with digital nomads and the way the world is working, and people, Instagram and social media. I think finding someone that's willing to graft and is proud and wants long-term growth is hard, because everyone wants instant success, and it doesn't exist.
Have you noticed that the turnover of staff in terms of length of stay for the less successful ones, they leave quicker now because they're impatient?
Interestingly, we've got a chief people officer, a girl called Natalia. So we hired her from a really big tech company here. We went ahead and somebody. The reason we did that is I wasn't happy with the culture of the people. And this about 7 or 8 months ago, we looked at attrition rates. They were higher than I wanted them to be. Hired this lady, Natalia, and she's brilliant at her job. The retention rate is really low now, like dramatically come down, which means she's doing her job. But the other
turnover rates, like retention rates high.
Sorry, retention rates higher. The turnover rate's a lot lower. But the main thing out of it is she sat me down and she went, "Why do you want to keep these people that are not performing?" And I went, "Well, I think we can upskill them." And she went, "Let me tell you now." He said, "Trust me on this. This one person that you're trying to keep is hurting 10 people that want to stay." And I was like, wow. And we made a decision 6 months ago. If somebody doesn't fit our model, and we would let them go. And I've never done that before. And just doing that, going back to the culture thing, it changed that whole culture.
So what changed?
I think the power switch in a company, as in like, I think throughout the years, the business is the boss, and the business and how that business runs is dictated by the business. But when COVID happened specifically, this is not Allsopp and Allsopp, this is the world. People had rights, and they were like, wow, I don't want to go to work because, it's more travel time for me. And That would never happen in the rest of the world. And what you found is the employees had the power and then negotiating power. That happened in real estate as well. The agents were sort of ruling the roost a little bit. Not in our company, everywhere they would dictate. But the reason Allsopp and Allsopp are so good is we have a structure and we know how to train people, know how to upskill them. We know what KPIs you need to hit. And we made the decision to actually bring our best agents back in. So we had a conversation with some of the biggest hitters in the company saying, you're no longer remote, you're in-house. Obviously you have some friction. We made some movements, but the reason we've done that is for the company culture. And it was massive for us.
And when you go into the office now and you see that difference, what does it feel like? Because you and I like that kind of like that gritty kind of like punchy environment, don't we?
It's electric, mate. It's I can't put it any other way. Going back to, and again, anybody that has a business listening to this, going to an office that's empty with a new starter and your best days out on the road or at home working doesn't benefit the new starters. And what you find is that when you get everyone together, that's the secret sauce. The secret sauce is them having a conversation at the printer or going for a coffee together and then having a meeting and bang, something happens. And when you walk around the office and the music's on and there's a buzz, everyone's on the phone and people are trading, negotiating, there's meetings in different rooms. You're like, yeah, this is what I signed up for. Now, that's only based on how you structure the company because two jobs are operating the same. You could have one where they're still selling houses, but there is no atmosphere. And you're like, oh, it's a long day. The exact same job here, but the company has a way that it wants to run and you enjoy wanting to be there. That's what my business ethos is based on.
So how does someone who's built what you've built, you and your brother, with, you say 600 agents?
No, 650 people in the company.
650 people in the company.
Yeah.
So as a ratio of admin and operations for agents, how many agents are there?
I'd say there's about 420.
420, okay. So 1/3 is admin or operational.
Marketing, operational, accounts, finance, property management, like mortgages
as well. So when you write a plan for the next 36, 48, 60 months, what does the plan look like?
We don't.
Okay.
The reason we don't write a plan is things change very quickly. So you will never see me write a plan. And again, this is probably one of our strengths.
Never see us write a plan.
Okay, we'll never see us write a plan. So you'll have the directors that we will go to our directors and say, what does your team look like? Let's look at growth models for how that looks and revenues for the 2025. In fact, today in my diary, there's a meeting for the managers to do that. But as a whole for the business, when I look at the business as a whole, I take a 3 to 6 month plan. So, for instance, I've got something I want to achieve in the next 3 months. One of them will openly say on camera. We'll set up a valuations department where we will become a portfolio manager, portfolio valuer, valuation to the banks, also valuations, a bit like Countrywide in the UK.
Yeah,
that's my goal. If you ask me, do I have a business plan for it right now? No, I don't. I know I can get into the banks. I know I can do the portfolio. I know I can do all this with the ultra net worths. But I'll start the trade license and then I'll employ the best valuations person in Dubai, and they will create me a business. That's basically how our 3 to 6 month model works. So I don't forecast too far ahead.
Do you ever look at last year's revenue and say, right, the big January one of this year, right, we've got a percentage up on last year's revenue. That's our goal. Is it a 10, 20, 30 double? How are you kind of like, Grant Cardone famously says, don't try and be realistic, be unrealistic. Yeah. He goes, because then you'll reach for something that maybe you wouldn't have thought you could do.
So we have our CFO, ex-Bank of China, way above like technical grade I've ever seen in accounting before. She will sit and present to us every month. And she will go through 2024's turnover profit versus 2023, look at quarterly figures, how's our growth versus our profit. So let's say last month, to give you a hypothetical scenario, which is it is a true scenario, our profit is up, but our costs are also up, but our net profit as a total at the bottom, as in the net, is down compared to whereas because we're actually growing more. We're spending more money on marketing and everything else. So even though our turnover is going up, our net profit isn't. So again, I have an idea for what I think a successful real estate model should be. I think if you're earning between 18 and 30% net profit, that's a really good business, a really, really good business. Anything below them figures is not a good place to be. And if you know our business, we operate at 50% commission. So I said before, it's another model, but I just think there's a lot of companies out there that in the good times, which is I think we're coming out of the explosive times and more to a normal model, there's a lot of companies that are offering the 70, 80% that I think are starting to struggle and keep staff. And it goes back to what I said at the start, where we've now taken staff that are on higher percentages to come and work here because we actually offer more to the business.
Yeah. Now, when you look at what excites you about your business moving forward, you're always chipper, you're always positive, you've always got a nice energy around you. You know, this is probably, if I'm honest, this is probably the most serious conversation you and I have ever had.
Ever.
It probably isn't.
No, I agree.
And so it's fascinating for me to have, understand this from your point of view. And obviously for everybody watching, it'll be valuable too. Are you still excited about it?
About the business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, someone said to me before, would I retire? And I just enjoy my job. I don't enjoy the money. I don't get excited by money. I'm going to sound like an idiot saying this on camera, but I think I've got one of the best houses in Dubai. I've got one of the best cars. I can have any watch I want. I have a boat. I have an amazing office that I've custom built. I've got apartments empty in the one and only resort in Wandsville. I have whatever I want. And there's so many more wealthier people than me. But the reason I tell you that is that I don't want anything. So like when I think about what my drive is, my drive honestly is I want to grow a business. I want to be the best. I want to be the best real estate. And it's so competitive here now that you have to be forced to grow. If you don't grow in real estate, there are other people that will be up your ass. So you have to push forward. So I'm excited about Dubai. I think Dubai has under 5 to 10 years of stable growth. And that means that Allsopp and Allsopp will grow because we're a byproduct of Dubai. Like if you put me in Coventry, I'd be nothing. I'd be, our business that was 5 years old in the UK turned over £1 million a year. And we were trying to push it. But when you're charging £600 commission and the average sale price is £100,000, Dubai's a different world. So we're a byproduct of Dubai. I'm excited by the business.
You say you're a byproduct of Dubai. Stephen Bartlett talks about being on the crest of a wave with social chain.
Yeah.
He said, I was at the right time. I went through the pain. I'd made some mistakes and I took advantage of it, which clearly you did. Does that mean that you're limited to Dubai, or do you think you'll take in consideration and look at places like Saudi Arabia, or you'll look globally at what potential markets, if at all, there will be?
I would liken us to Foxtons. Anyone that don't know Foxtons in the UK, they have the whole of the UK market to go to. They don't. They're very good at London, and they're the number one in London, and their business is at one point was, I think, £800 million. We're not a million miles away from their valuation, if where they are today. I believe there is so much more growth in Dubai. So my problem is with going to an international country, and Stephen Bartlett, look, these guys are great at what they do. Fair play to them. They're very good on social media. They do what they got to do. I know how to do real estate in Dubai, and going to Saudi would have an amazing opportunity, but I think it'd take my eye off what I'm actually trying to do, which my only goal is to be the biggest and best agency in Dubai. So I have no plans for LA.
Okay, so then if that's the case, are you?
Are we the best in Dubai?
Are you the biggest in Dubai?
No.
Who's the biggest?
I think there's Fam Real Estate have got a lot of brokers, but they're a different type of company to us.
So is it measured in brokers, or is it measured in revenue, or
if it's measured
sales?
If it's measured in, well, you can't see other people right now. You can't see other people's revenue. If Company House comes out, obviously it'd be fantastic for us to see in the UK. There's no one that's selling more properties than us. Ready properties in Dubai. 100.
So you sell more ready properties than anybody else. Your secondary off plan is not your specialty area.
About 6% of our marketplace. 6%.
That's tiny compared to other companies. It's 96, isn't it? You know,
but that's our strength.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, the way the market works is you're going to have, erratic bits of the market where transaction and launch is going to happen. But the underbelly of any market is actually the renters turning into buyers, and the buyers turning into sellers, and the sellers turning back into buyers. And that's what our whole marketplace is. And that's really what my growth model is on. Off plan is 100% amazing for quick transactions. We've done some incredible transactions there. And I look at it and go, wow, it's the easiest deal that you've done, because you find somebody that wants to buy it. You give them a check and you get paid. There's no after sales. There's no nothing else. But the underbelly of our business is that, and I do believe 100% we are the most successful company in Dubai for transactions.
Okay. Last few questions before we end. So I want to stay focused on the business side of it. I want you to tell us about the private office in a minute, but when I made money, it lost its meaning.
Correct.
Yeah, it did lose its meaning. So, and again, lots of people that are looking at you going, I would love to be in your position.
Yeah.
They don't actually realise that we're still exactly the same people. And when you then can buy any outfit or any watch you want or whatever it may be, I've got a Garmin on.
Yeah.
I no longer am interested in the label that's available. I'm just more interested in being happy.
Yeah.
When over the last 17 years can you remember was the most fun you had with your business? What was
with my business?
Yeah, what was the most
wow, okay. The most phenomenal.
What were the best times?
The best times, I suppose, when I used to be on call-outs. So you'd get on the phone and you would set a competition. There'd be a whiteboard and you'd have a lead, and I'd be involved in it. And I remember people, oh my God, Lewis has booked. I didn't even know he could sell. And you'd be on the floor. And I miss being on the floor. I miss being an agent. Like that's my bread and butter. That's my soul, like being the salesperson, my strength with people. But you have to take yourself away from that. And that's such a hard thing for an entrepreneur to do that has that key skill set to say, okay, I'm actually harming the business by not letting the managing director and the sales director do their job if I'm going to suffocate them. But, we've had lots of fun with external things. The good thing about our business, and I think why I class our business as successful, is the businesses grew up together. I grew up with it from 19 up to 38 today. People like Darren Murphy, Rob Kempton, Ryan Hudson. I look at these people, I've been to their weddings, they have kids. Our kids go to the same school together. Some of the lads go to the same classes together. And we're on this amazing journey. And it's not just wealth. Wealth, they're all multimillionaires in their own right. But we're all going through life together. And I think when you have a business and you create that ecosystem where people want to stay there for 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years, it's incredible. And in the long term, that's what's fun to me, these people working together.
It seems to me, I mean, a great stuff I saw on social media recently was when you took the boys to the Euros in a private jet. I'm sure some of them have never been on that before and experienced.
I hadn't.
Oh, you hadn't?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
It's very erratic of me.
But last minute, right, we go into the Euros.
It's exactly how it was.
It seems to me like you have this group of people around you that it really matters to you that they're successful.
Yeah.
And it really matters to you that they enjoy and you have a good time together, because it shouldn't always be about work.
Look, I think I like to show them that I care, because when you're the chairman, CEO of a business, even if they're your best mates, they've also got a job to do. So you become a little bit detached from them. So I suppose my love language is, even with Georgia, I like buying her stuff. I like giving back. I don't need the money. I like going and go, I've got you a bag or I've got your shoes or something. She's like, wow, I can't believe you've done that. Same with my friends. If I can give them stuff and they don't need it, but they know, like, okay, this guy appreciates me. Like I said, we've been on the private jet to the football twice. I took Georgia's family and everybody to Geneva and Switzerland, and we're paid for everything with that. And I just like to do that. I get more satisfaction out of that than going to buy a new Rolls Royce. So I'd say that's my love language in work. I like to give it back.
And chalets in ski resorts.
Exactly.
Last question before I finish. Okay, tell me about the new private office that's just been a couple of months old.
Yeah, just before the summer.
So from what I understand, you've decided to now have a department that's focused on the ultra high net worth.
Correct.
People that are buying or living in the world of buying and selling high value property.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate on that for me?
So if you think Sotheby's, Knight Frank, Savills, they are their own entity effectively. Their global reach is incredible. Their know-how for luxury property is incredible. And if you look at Allsopp and Allsopp, we sell houses. We sell 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20 million dirham house. When you go to the luxury market, people don't really think of us. But that's crazy, because we've actually sold so many luxury properties, like penthouse in the Palm to villas on the Palm to we own the highest price per square foot in Al Barari. We've got the highest price per square foot in the Meadows. We have the highest price per square foot everywhere, but we don't really have a department to go through that. So the logic behind it is, I've seen some incredible developments being launched. Even if you take Sotheby's example, they launched the Nobu residences, and I thought, well, that's an amazing project. I'd love to have my name next to that. But we didn't have the brand to do that. Now I ended up buying a 3-bed on the Nobu, throw Sotheby's, and I got my commission back and things like that. But I look at that and think, wow, if you've got the right brand, people will come to you. And I don't think we had that in place. So basically, the model behind what we've done is we've created a subdivision within Allsopp and Allsopp. It's a separate type of marketing, separate branding. So we went for a rebrand with a company that done Apple's rebrand and done their, they actually done all of the retail shops, with the phones and all that. They were the company behind designing that. And they've done McLaren's and a few of the companies. So we went to them and explained this tone, the feel, the interviewed us for months. And we put this branding and creation together. Then what we've done is gone to some of the best agents in Dubai and said, look, this is the goal we're trying to achieve. off the back of that, we've really picked up some incredible agents, like people that have got 7, 8, 9, 10 years experience bringing their own contacts to the table. And then we've got a new marketing scheme where we're going to ultra luxury networking marketing techniques. Like, for instance, we have a tie-up with a magazine that goes specifically over to footballers and football agents. So we are in there, we get the referrals from them. We're going to be in any type of branded luxury magazines. We're looking at the Emirates flights at the moment, say if you're looking to come over. So it's a completely set up subdivision to tackle ultra high net worth. Now, where we go into that is not just selling the property. We've got businesses that work with us that help with the foundations, the SPVs, the structures, the taxations. If you think about a 360 operation for coming to Dubai, we're aiming for, if you're coming from Monaco, I want you to come to me and go, introduce me to tax officer, introduce to the SPV, find me a house, and we will do that all for you.
So obviously I own a wealth management company. Yes. Danielle and I are business partners together. So we own a wealth management company.
I do that.
I just get that right. I know, drives her mad. We have ultra high net worth clients, and those ultra high net worth clients, some of them have recently moved to the UAE.
Yeah.
Want to buy property, want to make sure they've got their tax sorted out, their structuring and all that kind of stuff. So is this department now positioned to be able to take on those people?
Yeah, immediately.
Okay. So it's probably not the right thing for a podcast right now.
Yeah. So should we just go through this? But it's important to me that we're not just selling the house, because there is more to it than just selling the house. You've got to be able to contact contracts. You've got to have everything in place to get these people. Otherwise, there is a reason they would go to Knight Frank, because Knight Frank can offer that. So we're trying to build that specialist unit. We're in an incredible position at the moment. You're going to see a lot more activations, letting people know we are here and around, and trying to push us to that next level of the ultra luxury.
Do you think you are proud of what you've achieved?
Yes, but it's hard, because it's like me saying to you, are you proud of what you achieved? Yes, we are. But when you live it every day, you sort of like bypass it, if that makes sense. Because like, I try and describe this. I was talking to George, my wife, about it. She was talking about success. And I said, look, the best way to describe success, imagine that pair of shoes that you dreamed of having, and every day you went online and saw them. Then one day you got them. You're like, oh my God, these shoes are amazing. But then every day for the next year, they got delivered the same pair of shoes. It would lose its appeal to you. And I think that's the danger with success. And I suppose it's why some people are really, really motivated, is that they never feel like they've made it. I don't feel like I've made it. I could sit here and tell you that I think I'm doing amazing, et cetera, but there is someone out there, the Ambani guy that's a multi-billionaire. I'm literally a speck in the ocean to this guy. But when I look at success, am I happy? Yes. My family happy? Yes. Am my family healthy? Yes. Is the business doing really well? Yes. So I'm in a state of happiness, and I think that's so important. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm not going to name names, that I think they're financially doing well, but mentally not in the best place. And I think that's a big win for me, that I am very content in what I do in every angle.
Yeah, it shows.
Yeah.
I feel like a failure in business.
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you just said that, it's just like, for me, it's just like, I feel like absolutely, like I'm not even scratching the surface.
And you have to prove to yourself, and even sometimes with the people, actually, I am the man. And then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, well.
Lou, thank you so much for coming to join us today. It's really great talking to you, and hopefully people can see another side of you and learn a bit more about what it takes to become successful.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.